We get over 1 million visitors per month from Google via programmatic SEO, and this drives over 8 figures in revenue for my business Contact Out. I'll screen share and I'll show you the exact process of doing keyword research, scraping content, finding data, rewriting content with ChatGPT, generating pages, indexing and getting pages to rank, and finally, tracking the results. Welcome to How to Start a Startup, where I'll go into not just what to do, but how to do it. If you watch and implement this entire video series, email me and I'll be open to investing up to $100,000 in your business. Let's get started on how to do programmatic SEO. Here are our SEO pages. We have 7 million of these pages targeting person name email. For example, Elon Musk email. And in total, these pages have generated over 1 million in traffic last month. Here's another example from Canva where they target templates. So you have sales templates, you have background templates, help templates. And another example is Airbnb targeting vacation rentals for different countries like the United States or Philippines with thousands of these pages. To make these pages, first we start with keyword research. A keyword consists of a modifier and a key term. For example, person name plus email, or in Airbnb's case, a location plus vacation rental. For these keywords, first we want to check, does the traffic convert? We can check this by buying ads on the target keyword. Here's an ad by Airbnb for vacation rental New York. We want to check the conversion rate to sign up, as well as if the traffic actually buys your product. For example, Airbnb does not advertise on New York hotels because presumably this keyword doesn't convert as well for them. The next thing to check is the traffic volume. Contact Out's key term email gets 37 million searches per month, and Canva's key term template gets 17 million searches per month. Use Ahrefs to check traffic volumes because it gives a more precise number than Google Keywords tool, which you could also use since it incorporates the Google data along with clickstream data and other data sources. Also, Google only gives you the search volumes for the keyword by itself, email, whereas Ahrefs will give you the keyword volume for all other terms that contain your main keyword, email, in my case. The next step is to find modifiers with high traffic. For example, in Contact Out's case, we were targeting person name email. So we want to find people's names that are like really popular and have a lot of traffic. So lots of people will search for their email. So what we did was we took a list of the most common first names and a list of the most common last names, about like maybe 10,000 or more, like 100,000 names for each category. And then we combined them so we would have like millions of full names. And then we ran this list of full names through Ahrefs, and we were able to get the traffic volumes for the most searched names, which would likely correlate to the traffic volumes for the most searched, James Smith email, name plus email. What we also did was we went onto LinkedIn and we found the most popular people on LinkedIn. So we did a scrape of all of LinkedIn. We looked at the people with the most followers. And we took those, for example, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, Reid Hoffman. We made pages for those people because, if they have a lot of followers. Something we also did was look at what pages on LinkedIn get the most SEO traffic. So on Ahrefs, it will show you a list of people on LinkedIn that get the most traffic for LinkedIn. And you can also do this for other social networks like Facebook or Twitter to find the pages on Facebook and on Twitter that get the most traffic, which will correlate to the most searched for and the most famous people that presumably people would want to find their emails. We also looked at competitors. So obviously to see what keywords our competitors are targeting. For example, our competitor RocketReach is also targeting, Elon Musk email. An obvious place to start is just to look at the terms on Ahrefs that contain email, and there's 1.2 million keywords here. However, the reason we went beyond this was most of these terms are not the most relevant. Yahoo email, email signature is not something we want to target. And whilst there's 1.2 million, it's quite hard to sort through these. So yeah, start here, but you can go much beyond this. And then another question that you guys might think of is, what about the keyword difficulty? What about how hard it is to rank, which I think is important if you're doing a programmatic SEO site and you're targeting like, I don't know, maybe a few thousand or a few hundred keywords, then it will matter. However, with Contact Out, we're targeting millions of keywords. Like we have, 2.6 million or like 7 million pages that we're targeting. So really, keyword difficulty doesn't matter that much. We're going for like volume and breadth of keywords, and we're just kind of doing a scattershot approach to be like, okay, let's have millions of keywords and hopefully some of them will rank. If any site with millions of pages is not going to rank for high competition keywords anyway. For example, the main keyword we target, like email finder, all the pages on the first page, they only have a few thousand pages in total. Our competitors that have millions of pages, like Rocket Reach, Lucia, Apollo, none of them are ranking on this page, even though they are actually the most popular tools. Because they have millions of pages, Rocket Reach has to buy ads because they don't have much authority on any individual page. So that's why I guess Contact Out's case is unique, that we don't look at like competition as much, like keyword difficulty, but for other sites, you probably would need to look at this quite a lot. So if we were to generalize this method, there's two approaches. First is to just list out a bunch of popular keywords, like come up like a list of million names and then search it on Ahrefs. And the second one is to look at, okay, what keywords are other sites, other directory sites with like millions of pages ranking. Here's some other large directory sites that you can check for traffic levels on Ahrefs to get a list of, for popular business names. It would be Crunchbase, where they will give you a list of all the businesses that you can check. Or White Pages. If you're looking for a list of professions, there's the job sites like Indeed. And as we already covered, for people, there are the social networks like LinkedIn, Facebook, etc., that you can see what are the most trafficked pages. Now, onto talking about generating the pages. The first step of this is to get the data. Like we need data to generate millions of these pages. And there are scraping companies like RightData, like CoreSignal, Zeit is another one, where they have pre-scraped data sets. For example, you can buy an entire scrape of LinkedIn or Crunchbase, Glassdoor, Yelp, a lot of these popular online directories. The price depends on the data set. It will go everything from a few $1,000s to upwards of 100 grand or six figures, depending on what you want. So what we did was we bought some of these data sets for LinkedIn data, as well as Crunchbase data, so people profiles, company profiles, and we use that to create our pages for Bill Gates and everyone else that we have like millions of these pages. Some other data sources that you can consider are Kaggle, where they have a open library of thousands upon thousands of data sets, everything from anime to census data to Airbnb listings in Las Vegas that you can build like lots of interesting websites or content for. You can use like the Whois records. You can actually download all this from Whois API, and there's 1.7 billion records, which is like who owns domains and what's the contact data for these owners. There's the flight data, which powers sites like ElonJet, where you can see where every flight is. And you can make a site for like a programmatic SEO site for tracking where celebrities are based on their jets, and perhaps get sued by Elon. There's like legal data sets where all the court records are public, and you can download this and look at it. And I don't know, maybe you want to create some sort of like legal ruling directory or something like that, or like analyze it in ChatGPT or something. Medical data sets. Same thing, you can find like scientific research papers, make some interesting analysis or websites on that. Voter records as well are public in the USA, so you could see, I don't know, like how people voted. Um, and then there's podcasts that you can download or scrape, like all these podcasts. So by the way, like these companies, Zeit, Core Signal, etc., they'll scrape anything that you want. So if you want a custom scraping project, you just go up to them and be like, hey, can you scrape the site? And they'll give you a quote. You can scrape the site. You could do it yourself as well. I mean, you could use like guys on Upwork to do it. But I found it more time effective to just use a company and they'll do it for you. Either way, or if you have your own engineers and you can buy proxies to do the scraping. So here's something interesting that a friend of mine did with podcast scrapes. So, they'll scrape all the podcast episodes and transcripts, and then he built a search engine for podcasts that differentiates itself by showing you the most listened to episode for every podcast. So, for example, here is the most listened to episode for Jay Shetty's podcast, and like Altail would have thousands of these pages ranking Google. So another interesting source of content is the transcripts in YouTube that you can scrape through some of these like Chrome extension tools. Or you could, it's in the HTML document, so you could just look at it. This like YouTube like transcript to text, or get the YouTube transcript, or a bunch of these Chrome extensions. Why this is interesting is because you can transform this data and make it unique or into an article. So you take the YouTube transcript from a video, you put it into ChatGPT, and you ask it to write a article on the same topic based on the points that were brought up in the video. And that's like great free content that you can generate in a large scale programmatic way. You'd have to like human review it first and make sure it's good and adds value to the user. But that's another like large source of data for programmatic pages on basically any topic you want. So as you can see, this is what I did here. I was like, hey, take this podcast transcript in this case, but YouTube works as well, and write an article about like bootstrapping and sustainable growth. And as you see here, it's pretty decent. Needs some editing, but we can do this for like basically any topic, generate articles. So we want to make content that actually generates value for the user. So the content needs to be unique and valuable. Otherwise, Google won't rank our content if it's just a duplicate. And if our content doesn't provide any value, then even if it does rank, users will bounce and go back to Google, and then Google would drop our rankings. So there's no way to get around like actually generating value for the user. So as I mentioned, what we did was we took the scrape of the LinkedIn profile, we put it over to ChatGPT, and we're like, hey, write an article based on Bill Gates, write an article for Bill Gates based on his LinkedIn profile, and highlight like the most interesting points. And here's some of the content that we're able to generate based on that. You can get more creative. So also what we did for Joseph here was we analyzed his LinkedIn profile for certain personality keywords, and we were able to produce a personality graph based on this analysis to be like, hey, this is how like creative this person is on a scale of 1 to 10, or here's how well they communicate, etc. You can estimate salary ranges based on a person's job title, or the location, or the company they work at. So here's some analysis we did there and displayed on our directory pages as well. Zoom Info, a competitor of ours, creates org chart data based off of the LinkedIn data. So they would go and scrape companies on LinkedIn, where it will show you the different roles on LinkedIn, and then they would do some analysis to say like, okay, who reports to who based on the job title and role on LinkedIn. Another interesting thing is tech install data. So telling you what tech stack a particular company uses. And we're able to get this from analyzing the job posts of a particular company. If you look at a company's open positions, a lot of the times they will talk about the technologies that you need to know to get that job. For example, in this case, you need to know like the Windows Server, DNS, DFP, GPO, I don't know what these are. Anyway, these are the technologies that this company uses. And from this, ZoomInfo was able to, create this tech stack, tech installed data that, a particular company uses. So those are all the ways that you can create unique content and generate value for the user beyond just scraping some content and republishing it, which won't really do much for you. Moving on to talking about indexing our content, because if we don't index our pages, then we'll never get traffic and we'll never rank in Google. Indexing is the first part. So simply for Contact Out, we submitted our pages, maybe 500,000 or 1 million at a time to Google Search Console. And so far we have about 7.8 million pages indexed. That's like growing every day. The things that we found to impact your indexing rate is your domain authority. So this is the age of your domain, like how high quality is your site. There's a lot of like user stats of maybe, from that Google can get from Chrome about like how users engage with your site, what the retention is. The links to your site is probably the main one, which determines like, hey, how authoritative is it? Also, like the number of pages you currently have indexed. We have quite a lot. We have like, nearly 8 million pages indexed. So to get more pages indexed is not too easy for us. Keyword selection was a big one for us. So what we did initially was we like released maybe 1 million of these pages, like these, Bill Gates email person named email pages. And we were like, wow, we got all this traffic, these pages are indexing, let's like blow this up. So we decided to release like 100 million of these pages. And what do you know, like none of the pages indexed. Google is like, hey, I don't want to index 100 pages. So what we found to help was when we selected names or keywords that had traffic volume. For example, like the names of like famous people or the names of like popular businesses, or it might be like, email pattern for McKinsey.com or, like management emails for McKinsey. When we selected the popular keywords that were getting a lot of traffic, our indexing rate was much better as well. Whereas if we just release random pages, most of those probably would never search for in terms of like, random names, or I don't know, like every name of every person on LinkedIn. And hence like Google doesn't want to index them. The other things we're doing for indexing is obviously creating a sitemap that links to every page because, links drive the primary driver of indexing. So from our homepage, it goes to this directory of people, and then there's a link to like every individual page. And then also on the people pages, they link to each other. So it's like, hey, these are some related people that you might also be interested in on the right-hand side. There's a lot of factors that determine indexing. Here's like just a list. There's backlinks, there's like visits by people in Google Chrome, there's like links in Gmail, there's like Google ad campaigns. I don't know how many of these like actually real. This is just from random Google search. There could be some creative ways that you could game this. We haven't really tried being too creative here. We've just done, like links and sitemap submission. But thinking about it, and again, this is unproven, let's say I'd want to like run some ads to get more like Chrome user traffic. Maybe you can go onto Mechanical Turk or Micro Workers and be like, hey, I'll give you 10 cents to go to my website and add it to your favorites. Maybe that will help with indexing. Okay, let's talk about link building, which is the primary way that we've been using to get our pages to index and also to rank in Google. To actually show up in results and not just index. This topic is covered like in a lot of detail by lots of people. There's all these link building courses on like Ahrefs website and YouTube. There's also amazing courses on Backlinko with like definitive guides on link building. So on a high level, the things that I found to have worked would be finding sites that have linked to your competitors or related companies in your industry, and then reaching out to them and asking for a link. Giving your software or your application away for free or for free for a year, and asking for a review in response. Link exchanges is something else that you can do. I know that there are some people that say, hey, if you swap links, like maybe Google has some way to detect that. You can do three-way exchanges where maybe you promote one site and then another site promotes you. So it's not like a direct exchange. I think Ahrefs says it doesn't really matter too much, even if it is like a direct exchange, because I mean, people like cross promote all the time. It's just part of business. You promote like related products, and other people in your industry will promote like your service. And a lot of times it's like with a link to your website. So I don't see why that's an issue there. The final one that we used was searching for brand mentions. So people that have blogged about Contact Out or have talked about our Chrome extension, but never linked to our website. So we would find, just search Contact Out in Google and find all the places that mention our brand, and then reach out to those webmasters and ask for a link. Right. So how we scaled this up was we hired a team in the Philippines, but you can also hire like Eastern Europe, or I heard South Africa was good because the salaries are reasonable and people speak native English. Anyway, so like $600 to $1,000 a month is the salary of our team. We have 4 team members. We put them onto the Ahrefs content and Brian Dean's content with his link building course. They have a target to build 10 links per month. And typically, we'll send like 50 emails a day. We'll try to like personalize all of them. And we'll use like Ahrefs and BuzzStream or any other email campaign tool to do that. So we hired these guys on Upwork, on LinkedIn. Really, we're not looking for too much beyond just like basic writing skills, like decent writing skills. I'd like to ask you some standard questions like, hey, you're writing an outreach email to Neil Patel, an example blog, and he has an article about email finder, about finding emails. What would you write to ask that Contact Out be included on his review of tools that find emails? Other questions that we just ask everyone in our team when we interview them is, how many books did you read and what did you learn from them? And what's the most impressive thing that you've accomplished? Because I think it just gives a good background to how people think and, what have they learned and an insight into their writing, which is reflective of, the clarity of their thinking as well. Awesome. So this is our link building tracker where the team will just put like the links that we built, what the domain authority is, when they were built, etc. Here's some example documentation that's about our process that we give to our team to do link building. So this is for like brand mentions where, we just make this a bit bigger, where we search for people that have mentioned Contact Out on the site. And then, we filter the domain authority of these. Here's a reference to like a guide by Ahrefs. And here's the email script that we send out, or we have our team like send out. And it's just saying, hey, like, you mentioned to us, would you care to like just link to our website as well? That'd be like greatly appreciated. And that's it, follow up a couple of times. It's really not like too complicated, the strategy. It's more like just consistency and like doing like a lot of this, sending out like a lot of emails over a long period of time. So I think we probably built like 800 or so links in total. over the course of the years. Here's another like example outreach from us. So we're saying like, hey, Dimitri, you've mentioned these other tools like Clearbit and SellHack on your article. Here's a bit about Contact Out. Would be great to like hear your thoughts and on us, and like if you check us out and give us like a review or consider like adding us to the article. Then I think Dimitri is like, hey, do you have budget for advertising? And we're like, no, I guess Google doesn't like people buying links. And then he's like, hey, what if I promote you on like my blog, and in return you can, promote us on like your blog? And we're like, yeah, sure, that kind of works out for us. So that's what we did there. One thing to note is that when you're doing this cross promotion stuff, you want to check that it is a legitimate site and it's not like spammy, and it's not like a link network. An really easy way to check this is just like, does this website have traffic? If they're getting traffic, then typically it's a real site. And also, you could look at the site, like, does it look spammy? Are there all these like spam links, etc.? Anyway, this one looked pretty good. So we're like, sure, let's do some cross promotion. Finally, there's monitoring results. So this is our Google Analytics traffic every month. And we can look at the pages that get traffic from our programmatic SEO pages, as well as the pages that don't get traffic. So for example, we found that maybe 70% or more of the pages that we release don't actually get any traffic. So after a while, we can consider, hey, do we still want these pages live? Or, we can do a export for every page that receives traffic from Google Analytics. We could also look at our server logs, which is more accurate than analytics. And so every page that doesn't get traffic, we can de-index those pages or redirect those pages to new pages that we will release that could potentially get more traffic. And this is to conserve like our indexing budget, because as I mentioned, the more pages you have indexed by Google, the harder it is to index. So we just want to make sure we're only indexing pages that get traffic. The other thing to monitor, of course, is, does this traffic actually convert? So I can tell you that, for example, Katy Perry email does not convert very well to paying customers for like a B2B contact finding tool like Contact Out. So that's something we could track, like, hey, how many people sign up from this traffic for a particular keyword, and out of that, how many people actually pay us? And then from there, we can further refine, okay, which keywords perhaps have better purchasing. That's it, guys. If you got value out of this video, like, share, subscribe. I'm trying to make the most actionable course on startups with real case studies, tactics, and screen shares. So check out the other videos in the series.